We are living in an urbanizing world where direct nature experiences are on decline. What is often related to the idea of the extinction of experiences and, in consequence, a decline of values of the environment. However, within this context, we argue in the BIG-5 project that the internet has widely been overlooked. Ever more people globally are using the internet at a daily basis. And the internet is permitting new ways of interacting in an indirect way with nature. The question that we're asking in the BIG-5 project is, do digital experiences of nature shape new nature values? And ultimately, do those nature values shaped online lead to environmental stewardship in the real world again? BIG-5 conceptualizes indirect nature values produced in virtual communities on social media as digital relational values. This links to the emerging field of relational values, in contrast to utilitarian and intrinsic values that have been conceptualized more strongly in the past. BIG-5 addresses digital relational values across different social media networks, different languages, distinguishing different types of nature experiences and different ecosystems or landscape types. Different than previous work, we are not trying to understand the digital world as a mirror of the real world, but we're really interested in how nature values are shaped at the interaction between the real world, the digital world, and eventually lead to real world outcomes again. We're using a conceptual framework consisting of 3 single steps for that. The first step is the seeding phase. That is any kind of human-nature interaction represented on the internet. That can be you running in a park, or that can be someone on a safari or on a dive trip. Sharing pictures and text content in social media networks. The second phase of our framework is the spreading phase. That is any kind of interaction with that initial seeding content, letting it be by sharing, commenting, or liking, that leads to a spreading of that content and the creation of values online. Our last phase is the grounding phase, and this is linked to the question of to which extent do these digitally produced nature values lead to new action, new environmental stewardship, new environmental protection in the real world again. Our methodological approach is building around this conceptual framework. So in the seeding phase, what we are doing in the first phase, we are trying to create a large data sample of annotated data that uses our conceptual framework on digital nature values. For doing that, we are starting with a large literature review on nature values that so far have not been conceptualized in the digital world, but they have been conceptualized in the real world. On the other hand, we're getting our hands on real social media data. So we're deriving data from different social media platforms, that is Facebook, that is Instagram, that is TikTok, that is X. And we are analyzing that in the first stage by hand in order to refine our conceptual framework and coding protocols. In the next step, we use that protocol in order to create a large annotated data sample, which also will feed into machine learning processes. We do that at the interface of social, environmental, and computational science. So we're trying to make use of the tools of both social environmental research and computational research, and build a new methodological approaches that combine those two. In the second phase, building on in the spreading phase, we're using a social network analysis. So that's a pretty classical approach, which we apply then to the spreading data sample. So looking at which kind of information is spreading in which way. And we're trying to, doing a systematic analysis of those spreading networks, we're trying to find explanatory variables of why is some content spreading versus the other, and in which context is it. We will also hypothesize that we're going to see different spreading patterns regarding which platform we are at. So we're supposed to see differences in the platform culture and what resonates, which nature values resonate in which digital community. In the last stage then, in the grounding phase, and this is the most challenging part of it, we're using a mixed method approach. So on the one hand side, we want to get an understanding whether we see indications for stewardship already in the digital sample, in the spreading sample. So we are analyzing more the content using large language models in this case, in order to see whether we have indications for knowledge, care, and agency, which are the foundational aspects that we would expect to lead into stewardship. In addition to that, we are setting up a large survey dedicated to stewardship initiatives in order to get an understanding to which extent their activities are informed by social media information, by values that are built up on the internet. And at the last stage, we are thinking about creating an experiment where we actively reshape social media content in order to test the previous findings of the project and to see whether we can then proactively change the value creation and stewardship linked to this value creation. We are living in a moment of time where real world experiences and digital experiences are completely interwoven, and we need to make allowance to that kind of value shaping also for nature values, and we need to focus our research on that. This is what BIG-5 is trying to do.